Today is going to be a little bit more personal. I'm going to tell you my story, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I'm doing this. I did everything right, and at least that's what I thought. I studied hard, earned the PhD, built a career, worked long hours, followed the advice that we're given from a young age, get educated, and eventually you'll have the life you want. And to be clear, I'm grateful for my education. I'm grateful for my career and what it's given me. This is not a video about regret. It's a video about a question that has been growing louder in my mind over the last few years. Because despite doing all the right things, I found myself asking, why do I still feel stuck? And not so much in a financial sense, more in a freedom sense, time-wise. And I think that's a very important distinction because from the outside, many professionals look successful, good careers, good qualifications, stable income, a respected profession. And yet, many of us quietly feel something that we don't often talk about. We've built successful careers, but we haven't necessarily built freedom. So for a long time, I thought the goal was income, to earn more, get promoted, or get another degree, or whatever it might be. Increase your earning potential, move up, wherever up is for many healthcare professionals. And while income certainly matters, I eventually realized something. As my qualifications increased and as my career progressed, one thing wasn't increasing at the same rate: control over my time. And that's when I started looking at life differently. I started asking a simple question: who is actually in control of my time? Who is in control of my calendar? Now, before I continue, I'm not anti-work, I'm not anti-career, and I'm certainly not suggesting everybody should quit their job. That is not what this channel is about. But when I looked honestly at my own situation, I realized that much of my time was already allocated before I even woke up. Meetings, deadlines, commitments, responsibilities, schedules. And while those things come with professional success, I started wondering whether there might be another way to create more flexibility over time. Not necessarily overnight, not through shortcuts, not through wishful thinking, but through building something of my own. And that's what led me down the path of exploring online business and digital income streams. Not because I wanted to get rich, not because I wanted a flashy lifestyle, and not because I completely hated my profession. The truth is much simpler. I wanted to understand whether it was possible to build something that wasn't entirely dependent on my time. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: there are only so many hours in a day, and no matter how educated you are, no matter how skilled you are, eventually you run into that reality. And that's when I started exploring different business models. To be honest, I made all the mistakes, consumed too much information, overanalyzed everything, compared myself to people who had building online for years. I looked for the perfect strategy, for certainty, and in doing so, I made very little progress. What finally changed wasn't finding more time, it wasn't discovering a secret, it wasn't learning some magical strategy. It was simplifying. Instead of trying to build everything from scratch, I started following a framework. Instead of constantly changing direction, I committed to one process. Instead of looking for immediate results, I started looking at data. That's actually one of the reasons I started this channel, because I wanted to document what happens when an ordinary professional decides to consistently test a new path. Not just theoretically, but in real life, with a career, with responsibilities, with limited time, and with all the doubts that come along with it. So, I don't know exactly where this journey will lead. I don't know how long it will take. I don't know what the final outcome will be, but I do know this: 5 years from now, I'd rather have spent time building something than wondering whether I should have started. And perhaps that's what this entire journey is really about. Not escaping work, not chasing quick money, not abandoning a career, but creating more options, more flexibility, more ownership, more control over how I spend my time. Because the older I get, the more I realize something: the most valuable resource isn't necessarily money, it's time. And if you're someone who has worked hard, built a career, achieved many of the things you thought you wanted, and still find yourself asking whether there's something more, you're not alone. That's the question I'm exploring, and I'll continue sharing what I learned along the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.